All right, guys, new week, new opportunities. We have a lot of great opportunities coming in this week. But before we get started with that, I think it's important that we cover what happened last week because this is something we have never seen before at all. Or nobody expected Trump to fold. We expected that he put pressure on China and then China and the rest of the countries will fold. But it seems like the plan is failing. So the most shocking of last week has been that Trump folded. He removed the tariffs for 90 days. And then he also yesterday removed tariffs on electronics, even for China. Remember, the 90-day pause on tariffs excludes China because they retaliated. But then he came out and said, okay, even we're going to put a pause on the electronics as well. That's chips, computers, and other very important things to America. Now, the question is, why do you think he did that? The main reason is not that it's a negotiation tactic or whatever. It's because he got a call from Apple and other tech companies telling him that, look, we are not going to win if you're going to put tariffs on electronics. This is going to get worse because iPhones will be worth 3,500 if they're being manufactured in America. That's one. Two, most important, and this is, I think, the main reason. These are the bonds, the bond yields. You see, what happens is that whenever the market is in panic, it usually happens in a period where interest rates are higher. And then what people do, they escape the volatility markets like the equity markets. So they take their money, they invest in bonds because it's guaranteed payment. If you invest in bonds, you at least guaranteed whatever the 5% or the current rate of interest. So it's just like DeFi in crypto, where when the pool is being oversubscribed, the yield reduces. So naturally, when the bond yields are being oversubscribed, a lot of people are buying them, the yield decreases. And then what we experienced last week was that while the stock market was crashing, you would expect the bonds to also be rising, the bond yield to be decreasing. But what happened is that both were happening at the same time. You have the bond yields sort of being oversubscribed. At the same time, the bond yield also was increasing, which meant that there are people who are selling the American bonds for something else, which means they're losing interest in the American economy. And the question is, who was selling these bonds? Because for the American bonds to see that kind of an effect, it means that there is somebody very important or huge who was doing all the selling. And I'm here to tell you, it was Japan and China, because Japan is the largest bondholder of the United States bonds. And this was a very, very big signal that symbolized that the world is losing trust in the American economy. And something had to change. So Trump got a call from Apple and several other experts that told him, yo, you have to do something about this, because if people are losing trust in the American economy, worse things can happen. But anyway, that is on the side. Now, what should we expect this week? Because the markets are kind of positive now. Bitcoin at $85,000. The stock market kind of regaining strength again. What should we expect? I think we're at a point here where Trump has folded. The tactics that he wanted didn't work. And now he's going to have to go out there and negotiate with China, because China just came out and said, look, we want President Trump to cancel all the tariffs. And China is not even concerned because they're trolling America on social media. The Chinese ambassador's page on X is making really funny jokes about America. They're showing you that they don't care. They're not scared. And obviously, guys, China has all the cards here. They manufacture majority of what we use in the world. They're actually useful. All America has is money. They have a very uneducated population, majority. This is said by Ray Dalio, by the way, saying that, look, even if we want to take manufacturing on our own, we can, because we cannot do it because we have 1% who are smart, well-educated. Then we have 60% of our population that cannot read at a 6th grade level. This is very concerning. So that is what's happening in the market. The second thing that you need to know is about or Mantra DAO. Mantra DAO is a project, an RWA project, reward assets. Its value has been wiped out in the last 24 hours from $5.1 billion to $510 million, which means it went from $10 roughly. Sorry, it went from $5 roughly to 5 cents in one candle, in one day. And what is happening? Because I told you about this coin. I told you when you hear about reward assets, RWA, you have to think Ondo. It's the only project that matters. And a lot of people on my X account, they were tweeting to me saying that, there's this coin is also very good and it's a reward asset. It's going up. It got a lot of backers. But what has happened now is that Mantra DAO has now ragged on its investors. They have crushed the coin. This can only be done by insider, even though the team has come out and say, well, this is not us. We're investigating what happened. There are people who are selling, but the honest truth is that there's a rumor that some of the internal team and VCs resigned on the project and they abandoned it. That's one. Two is that Binance is involved in the selling of this. A lot of people are blaming Binance that since it got listed on Binance, this is typically what's happening. It's an insider trade, insider sale. I don't know how true the Binance allegations are, but this is what the markets are saying. The market says that it's Binance and the internal team of Mantra DAO. So guys, be careful right now. You have to be extremely careful with this project. You have to be extremely selective because if we're going to go through a down market for a long time, then you should expect more and more of these kind of things happen. Scams will expose themselves because when there's pressure in the market and they think the prices will go down, they would rather just rag you than pretend that there's something going on. So personally, I think that this is good for Ondo. So if as an investor in Ondo, I think this is very, very good because it will put a shiny green light on Ondo, giving it more a stamp of approval that this is a good, legitimate project. They're not ragging anybody and it's not manipulated like tokens like OM. So I feel sorry for all investors in that project. I publicly say that I will not touch it and I didn't do it. Reporting live today from Berlin, Germany. And I'm doing all the groundwork for you guys so that you don't have to travel around and report on what's going on. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow me and like the video, leave a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.